Hello everyone and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined as ever by Rachel Shackleton. And look, I'd love to say that this news is about Dave Bautista being in Gears 5 because that is the best thing of all time and I want to Bautista bomb some goddamn locusts into the ground. But sadly it's not. Sadly it is about EA. Well, that bit was, to be fair. It is about EA because they have made a major shake-up in their European studios by appointing David Rutter, let me get that right, Dave Rutter, who has been working on the FIFA franchise
David's his Sunday name.
Yeah, David is his Sunday name. Who has been working on the FIFA franchise for the past 12 years. Essentially, he was the guy, he was instrumental in transforming that franchise from playing second fiddle to Pro Evolution Soccer into being the massive behemoth that it is today.
Strange to imagine FIFA not being number one, but at one point, not too long ago, it was number two.
Genuinely, yeah.
But yeah, so obviously FIFA these days is this absolute behemoth, like you said. It makes a ton of money for EA, and Big Dave is mainly the reason behind that.
Exactly, and now he is no longer in charge of that franchise. He's now overseeing the European studios, which include, let me get this right, EA, DICE, Ghost Games, and Criterion Games, which essentially makes him now in charge of Battlefront, Battlefield, and Need for Speed.
Yeah.
On the surface, from a purely business perspective, you can see why EA have done this because FIFA is one of the biggest names in entertainment, today, not just their own library in the games industry as a whole. It makes a ridiculous amount of money, so you can see, why EA want to take the guy who has been leading that charge and put him onto franchises that, from their perspective, have been kind of failing.
Yeah, I mean, look at like Battlefield 5, for example. Like literally at one point we were being told not to buy it, so therefore it didn't go well. So I feel like, I'm going to play good cop here, and I think this can only be a good thing.
I'm going to play bad cop because I'm very worried about this.
I feel like a little bit of life into these franchises is never a bad thing. Obviously, we do have the newer Need for Speed that we've had a few teasers about.
Yeah.
That's coming out, I want to say next year. I'm not 100%.
I think it's supposed to be late this year, just we haven't heard much about it yet.
I wasn't 100%. But yeah, so obviously we do have that coming out, so maybe it's going to have some kind of ultimate Need for Speed team.
See, this is the worry. This is the worst case scenario. Obviously, FIFA is in part so big because of the way they've embraced kind of in-game monetization, especially when it comes to Ultimate Team. I saw a stat when I was researching this news that Ultimate Team accounted for 28% of EA's entire revenue over the past year, and that is one game mode in a single game. That is more than FIFA itself, selling copies of FIFA. It is a ridiculous amount of money made from these in-game purchases, and obviously EA are looking at that and saying, well, how can we, spread that across all of our studios, including the likes of Battlefield? And I do agree with you, Rach, that those franchises do need to kick up a bum in a way. I actually really like Battlefield 5. I think it plays really well. But, we did the news on this earlier this week. You and I think Scott did it. And they talked about how, unfulfilled promises have kind of broken that game's community in a way and people really aren't happy. And the same was the same. I am great with words. To be said.
He's a writer.
Yes. With Battlefront 2 at launch, when obviously that turned so many people off with its microtransactions. And that game has done a good job of turning itself around. And it is really kind of great and community driven now. But still, I imagine it's not where EA want it to be or envisioned it being when they were getting ready to launch it, which, it's an issue, and I don't think throwing monetization, a guy who is responsible for, in part, championing these practices, I don't know if that's going to fix what's fundamentally wrong, quote unquote, with these franchises.
Yeah, you do make a very good point. I was thinking of it from the perspective of, obviously, FIFA Ultimate Team is massive. It's not the only game that's ever had microtransactions in it, though. So, all these people buying FIFA and obviously spending all this extra money on FIFA that you don't need to spend, by the way. You can just, obviously, get it through playing the game. This is because they want to. They're not there's plenty of games that have microtransactions in them that don't make tons of money because people don't want to buy it, but people do want to buy it with FIFA.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean having the option in the game is inherently wrong. But then I've just remembered what happened with Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2, I think a lot of it is in the marketing. So obviously I think maybe FIFA was just marketed in a way of look, this is what it is. get it if you want. It's not predatory. Well, it is kind of predatory, isn't it?
Well, when it comes to sort of Ultimate Team, it's always been a weird one when it comes to sort of like these big controversies and scandals, because obviously it makes so much money. But because it's been in FIFA for so long now, and before we kind of like started kicking off about microtransactions, it's kind of been normalized. And I think, you know, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but I think there is a distinction between the FIFA player base, or the bulk of it, and, you know, the kind of hardcore nerds like us who get really annoyed when these practices are included. Like, I think FIFA has such a massive install base, and I'm not sure, you know, the majority of people in that sort of, you know, ecosystem really are that in tune with kind of the controversy surrounding the likes of Ultimate Team, and especially because a lot of them are young kids as well. So why would you care about that when you're 10 or 11 years old? You just want to play the game, and that's always put it at the at least now at the forefront of like the controversy when it comes to, you know, outlets like BBC, or when the Senator Josh Hawley, I think he was called, was wanting to push through the anti-loot box kind of ban in Congress. FIFA was always, you know, at the forefront of that. People were saying, you know, it targets kids, it gets them addicted to this kind of gambling loop. And although EA have pushed back against that, it's still kind of like a bad look, and it's frustrating to see them essentially kind of, you know, brushing that to the side and embracing it again by appointing, you know, Dave Rudder to come in and try to fix these other franchises. Presumably, we don't know yet, this is worst case scenario, but through the same means.
I mean, I think you've hit it on the head there as well. Like, why is this not more of a big deal with FIFA? Because it's mainly kids that play FIFA.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they were to introduce a similar thing to Battlefield and Battlefront, those are 16 and 18 rated games. So it's maybe not like people know what they're doing playing those games.
Yes.
Whereas I think, the thing is with FIFA is he's managed to get this to a point where it's like this popular and this lucrative and making this much money, mainly from children.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad.
It's not good, and that's sort of, you know, why people are pushing for kind of regulation and, you know, practices and systems to kind of stop, you know, kids emptying their parents' bank account. That's always the worst case scenario. There's always sort of reports from parents who are like, my child spent £3,000 in Ultimate Team and I didn't know about it. And yes, it's kind of partly their responsibility, but it's also on EA to, you know, make sure that just can't happen so easily, or at least market it so aggressively, so that's kind of the norm. And they're having like a lot of great studies into how, you know, even though it's not technically gambling, it preys on the same mentality and it taps into that kind of peer pressure and that addictive, you know, that addictive loop. Obviously there are patents out there, and even like big executives refer to people as whales and super whales, which is just really dehumanizing and bad. And obviously you don't want to see all of that applied to these other franchises that we know and love. But you are right in that, you know, the people who play Battlefield, for example, you know, that's a higher age rating game, even though obviously a lot of kids still do play it. The fan base there is older. Perhaps they'll get more of a pushback if, say, you know, now in the future we get even more aggressively monetizable aspects in the series. I
actually really hope we don't. Can you realistically see the likes of Need for Speed, just for example?
Yeah.
Can you see that getting to the same point as FIFA one day?
Well, I can see EA trying, because they've been reports from people like Kotaku's Jason Schreier, for instance, who apparently EA executives used to go into BioWare's offices and the former Visceral Games team management, and were essentially just going, where's our FIFA? Like literally just asking, where's our FIFA? FIFA makes X amount of money a year. Why aren't you giving us that? And that is a pressure I don't think these games need. All these games don't need to be FIFA. They don't need to be homogenized in this way. They don't need to have just the same systems because it is lucrative. That doesn't work. FIFA works in part because it's kind of, you know, the only big game doing that system, and people are sort of gravitate towards it. If you put that in everything, people are just going to get annoyed. It's not just going to replicate the same success. That's not how it works. As far as I know, anyway.
Yeah, I think obviously there's a reason why it's worked so well for FIFA, because it's like you are sort of, it's like a football manager game. I'm gonna sneeze.
Don't sneeze.
It's gone. It's like you're basically a football manager. You're spending your real money to obviously get the best players in your team. So whereas I think that's maybe why people get a bit mad when it's in things like Battlefront. It's like, why would I actually spend my money to be Darth Vader? Like, that doesn't make as much sense. So I feel like if Mr. Rutter comes in and tries to do some similar things with these other studios, it might not go well.
Exactly, and again, he might have a completely different vision, but based on, you know, obviously the franchise he is coming from and how EA have said in the past that they want everything to be like that, it is just disappointing and not a good step forward for franchises like Battlefront, which are already marred in this controversy surrounding, in-game purchases. Like the reputation of that series, although it's trying to pull it around, is still to, like the casual player who picked it up at launch, just kind of like, that same greedy, insidious system.
If they can come up with a way that makes people happy to spend extra money in a game and then maybe not make the game like £55.
Yes. I mean, that's it.
That can only be a good thing. I mean, like a way of like rejuvenating it throughout the whole year, like FIFA has, that maybe doesn't cost too much money, could be a good thing.
You know what? I am of the opinion that these franchises could potentially need a big kick up the backside, and I hope this is the kick up the backside, that I want, but I'm just very, very scared that it's not going to be in the right direction.
Whole new multiplayer mode. Need for Speed, the car manager game, and you buy cars and you sell on cars.
I don't want Ultimate Cars.
Ultimate Car Team.
Ultimate Squad in Battlefield. That is literally my worst nightmare, I think.
Recruit
Don't do this.
people and deploy them, and no, let's not do that.
I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you as cynical about this as I am? Are you like Rach and kind of hoping something good will come out of this change in management? But either way, while you're down there, could you give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh Joint.
Bye Rich, thank you for watching.
And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye guys.
I always point over there and I say, head back to WhatCulture.com like it's in this unit. But it's not in there. That's that way, actually.
There's a big logo over there.
There is. They can't see that.